Oh, yeah, I figured we're gonna edit the footage down into sort of like a video on YouTube, if that's all right.
Cool.
Um, so we have about 8 questions about seasons specifically.
Right, right.
Yeah, and they're sort of organized from fan submissions that we had.
Cool.
Yeah, so if you're interested, just you want to introduce yourself and talk about how you got into the music industry.
For sure. Yeah. My name's Dan O'Milio. I go by Robopop as my producer, writer, stage name. Um, yeah, so I've kind of always been in music. My dad is a jazz drummer. So I grew up playing jazz and playing like classical music and playing like hardcore bands and playing like rage cover bands and just play funk music. I was kind of like a music guy. Um, Sort of backed off my dad. I started off as a drummer, then played trumpet, then got into guitar. Actually, did a lot of learning the guitar, listening to Blue and Pinkerton, which came in handy when we were doing summer and fall. So yeah. So I kind of grew up like a music guy, played a little sports, but was never going to be a professional athlete. So yeah, music was the thing. Um, yeah, and went to school for music. Sort of like got out, had a couple jobs that were helping to fund the music career, and then yeah, ended up signing a pub deal. Had a Lana Del Rey song and a Gym Class Heroes with Adam Levine song, and that was kind of like the beginning of um, the beginning of like the trajectory and kind of like things kind of took off from there. So yeah, that's the long and short of it, I guess.
Are you
Um,
aware of Adam Levine's connection to Weezer?
Am I what?
Are you aware of Adam Levine's connection to Weezer?
No.
His original band, Cars Flowers, was on the tribute album for Michael and Carly.
Okay,
They, so
I didn't know that. That's
it's
crazy.
interesting. Yeah.
That is, yeah, small world.
yeah, he was originally part of a power pop band that was very Weezer inspired. Um,
Love that. Love that.
I think what most people have wanted to know is what led you to producing the summer EP with Weezer, and were you chosen by the bandmates or the record label assigned you to the project?
Yeah, so kind of backed off like the gym class Adam record. I had kind of done a lot of stuff with Crush and with Atlantic. Um, and they've just been like homies, and we've yeah, we just know each other a long time. So yeah, at the top of the year, my management were like, hey, like Crush and Atlantic, you know, would like you to produce Summer. Like here's what we think is the lead single. Why don't you like do a version and we'll kind of go from there. Um, so yeah, I was pretty pumped because I actually had a song um, with the band in 2020 called Hero that was it was a song that was kind of floating around for a while in the Crush world, and they chatted on a few people, and then I think right before the pandemic, we heard that Rivers was into it and loved the hook, and they were going to take it and kind of make it their own. Um, so I was a co-writer on that, but that was my first record with them. So there was sort of a relationship there, and then yeah, they hit us up about doing Summer, and yeah, heard records, fell in love with it, and growing up a massive Weezer fan and a huge Rivers fan, I was like, yes, let's go. So um, it's kind of how that came to be.
Yeah,
So there were 8 songs recorded. Were the 8 songs recorded for Summer already selected when you came on board? Or did you
Ye-
play in any role in picking the track listing or organizing the track listing?
Rivers definitely had all the songs done. Some of them were in sort of like an acoustic, to a click, given that there are like tempo changes and accelerandos and deaccelerandos, which is it's probably the first time I'd ever had to do that working, you know, to a click track, which was definitely interesting and fun and cool. And because usually like a lot of the other songs I've done have just kind of been like straight 120, straight 110, like not a lot of changes. So he kind of mapped all those out on the acoustic. Records had a couple guitars on it, and the demo was I think a couple electrics, and then a bunch of vocals. So yeah, it's the tracks were all there, like all the songs were ready to go. And I was basically, getting like rough vocals, and I'd start creating, and I would, you know, at least for records, I kind of started with, I think the drums were definitely uh because I'd had the guitar part that he had played. So I started building kind of a beat around that, and kind of got inspired by Dave Grohl. And yeah, and kind of just went from there with that. Um, yeah, and kind of did that as we went along, in like sort of in order, but sort of just like, we'd get records to a point where it was feeling good, and then he'd be like, all right, well, you want to jump in on this one? I was like, yeah, sure. So I was kind of like very fluid. Um, and yeah, but they were all there. It's kind of amazing to fall into a project where you're working with a legendary guy, and he's got these amazing songs, and they're just kind of there for you. It's like, it doesn't happen every day, and it's just, yeah, it was awesome to just, kind of jump in, see his vision, and then he understood where I was coming from, and it was a great working relationship, um, of like mutual trust, and also just like, yeah, kind of trying to make it the best you can for the common good. So it was a fun process for sure.
And definitely with this EP, it features some, at least for Weezer, some unique production choices. It's sort of unlike anything the band has ever done, especially with the drums, which is something Rivers has commented on. Is there any inspiration behind these decisions?
Yeah, it's interesting because, on a lot of so essentially, like the way we'd work is like, he'd send me like a vocal, and I'd start building, and I'd start adding like guitars, bass, drums, maybe some synth stuff, some bass, kind of like, going at it and seeing what felt good, and then sending stuff back and forth to him, and then getting his comments on it, and having him come over, jamming on some stuff. So I was really building, kind of like building these songs up to then, get the band on them, and then sort of like mix and meld, and get it to a place where it was like the band stuff, and then my stuff, and then kind of making it all work. But yeah, the drums. Yeah, I like, so I, like, growing up a drummer. Yeah, for some reason, I just, when I started doing records, I definitely had this like sort of like this quasi like 90s slash a little bit beefier, like a little bit thumpier, kind of cross hybrid drum sound going for the demos. That was kind of cool because it wasn't 90s per se, but it was definitely something that was like different than the prototypical like Weezer drum sound. Um, and I kind of just like for where it worked, kind of like let those drum sonics live throughout the production of the songs at first. And then it was yeah it was cool to then get Pat on it and then like see like how how they kind of came together and how it all just how it all got melded together. But I was definitely like into that drum sonic from the beginning. So I was like, okay, if we're gonna go big here, and it's gonna be like like summer feels sort of like blue 2022 in the production and in the guitars and stuff. That I feel like the drums kind of needed to be on that sonic level of things being like sort of rock and big and in my mind how I kind of heard it. So it was fun to like work back and forth and get the drums, to a place where everyone was feeling good about them. Because it's definitely like sonically a different sound than what they were used to. But I think it came out cool. I think it like was different, but in a good way, and just trying to elevate the songs and making those drum sonics sort of like carry things and make it
Mhm.
thump. Yeah.
Were the drums recorded live entirely, or were they sort of mixed with virtual instrumentation?
Yeah. So the original drums on the original demos that I had worked up were all samples. They were just things that like when I create drum sounds, I like to pick from a lot of different like folders of stuff I've collected over the years. Some of it, you live sounding stuff, some of it sample based. So it was sort of like a hybrid of those. Um, and then once we were ready, once we felt good about the parts and felt good about how things fit in the song structure and stuff throughout the EP, yeah, we got Pat on stuff and then and it was sick because it was like he actually it's funny I don't know if he had heard like the the drum demo stuff because I don't think he like I don't know if he like didn't want to, but he wanted to come in with like sort of like a fresh slate, and I would be there with him, kind of being like, let's try this, let's try that, and then kind of melded the things together, and it actually worked really well. Because I was able to like sonically keep a lot of that like beginning demo stuff, beginning like production stuff, and then got his stuff on it. So it was like this nice like mix of like um of of like what was written or what was like kind of produced up before and then his stuff as well. So it was yeah, it worked. It was an interesting way to work in that regard. Just because I didn't have any drums to go off of for the demos because they were just just guitars to begin with. So yeah, it was cool. It was like I'd never done that before, and I'd never
Yeah.
really never tried that, but it came out pretty good, I think.
I just want to say because I'm a bit worried. It says there's only 7 minutes of meeting time remaining. Is that going to be enough time, Drewski?
Yeah, we might have to hop on another meeting because I didn't realize I don't have a paid for Zoom plan.
All good.
So
Hey,
when that timer goes down, I can send you the a link to another one if that's all
Yeah, that
right.
works.
that's all good. All right.
Totally.
All right.
So we kind of covered a lot of the next question in what you were just saying. So do we want to just move on to number six, Drewski?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Weezer typically record in piecemeal assembly line fashion, with each band member coming in individually to work on their parts and record them with the producer. Was this true with Summer? And if so, how did you and the bandmates find the process?
Yeah, so basically, yeah, it's like Rivers has these songs, guitar, vocal. I get the vocal. I work the production up to a point where we're feeling good about it, where things are mapped out. Um, and then it was time to go in and cut the guys. So I would go in and it just essentially like take out like the bass and then have a bass day, take out the drums from those like, you know,
So those are
first draft.
the demo tracks that you're at the that you're sampling in, and then they're re-recording them.
Right. Yeah. So I would play stuff and kind of write the parts and um and then they would come in and sort of like do their thing, like sans what I had had before. Um and then like so for Scott's case, he would come in and play the bass without whatever I had produced or whatever I had put in there before. Um, and then for like Brian as well, like it was like once the nuts and bolts were there, he was adding stuff, and we were like putting stuff where it worked, and kind of like kind of having a lot of stuff to work with, but then also making sure that it was kind of all fitting together. So it was cool. And like it's funny, I'd never throughout my career, I've always kind of been like a one or two song guy with like said artist. It was my first foray into like actually working with a band um, and kind of making music that way. Cause usually it's like, if I have a song for an artist that I'm doing, if there's someone else co-producing it, we're making stuff together, but I'm just kind of doing all of it. So it was cool to do a lot of it, but then get those guys on it and then like, massage it and kind of make things fit where they're supposed to fit and make sure we're keeping the sonic bed feeling good so that Rivers could kind of do his thing over top of it.
So was this your first album? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I've never. So funny. I grew up making music, playing in bands, like making albums and stuff like that. But this was my first. This is my first foray into doing it, which was awesome because I feel like it's something that I'd always wanted to do, but for whatever reason, I just hadn't done it yet. But it's funny. Backed off like summer and fall. I'm kind of shifting the way I work, and now I'm just looking for the next project to kind of dig into because it was super satisfying. It's super soul pleasing, and it was great. So
And it
Frisky, do you
seems,
want to ask the next one?
yeah, it seems like Records, the lead single, it's a very radio friendly song and it really stands out. It almost feels tailor made to be the single of not even the EP, the entire season's project. Was it a challenge to find the balance between modern pop sounds and the traditional Weezer sound?
um, I don't think so. I feel like with records, like once I heard the guitar part, I kind of had a ton of ideas and was definitely like had been listening to a lot of like Stone Temple Pilots, like Nirvana, kind of stuff I grew up listening to, Smashing Pumpkins. I was kind of listening to a lot of that stuff anyway, like around that time. So I just really like fell into the whole like cross hybrid 90s meets 2022 thing. Um, and just kind of like, yeah, just sort of did what I felt and kind of like let it all out, and then was like, well, let's see what they think. Like let's see what Rivers thinks. And he heard it, and he was like, "This is amazing." And I was like, "All right, cool." So yeah, it was, it was definitely right. The production's like definitely different than anything they've done. But for me, the song felt like really, really important, and it just felt anthemic and felt big and kind of encapsulated this like sort of this 90s thing that I grew up with, but like with it being 2022, I wanted to like meld those worlds and kind of put them together. Um, so yeah, it's cool. Like there's like a couple synths on there that like I don't yeah right I don't know if they had done that on previous records. I don't think they had, and it's like it's just this little like ear candy thing that kind of gives it this like sort of quasi today-ish sound, but like there's a lot of it to me definitely feels like my childhood, and it kind of feels like yeah like that like it has that 90s thing going on for sure. So
All
Yeah.
right, so it's saying we have less than 1 minute, so I think we want to switch over
hop
to
off.
Zoom call. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Do you want me to send it to you on Instagram or
Yeah,
your
that's
email?
cool. Or actually, what I can do is we have a chat going. I can just put my email, and you guys can just email it to me.
Got it. There is the chat.
Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
See you in a second.
All right.
All right.
Yo,
Hello again.
what's up?
Long time no see.
I know it's been so long.
All right. So, we know that you were the lead producer on Summer, but you're also credited on Autumn. What was your involvement with that EP? When did you come on board, and how was it working with Tyler Cole and Susie Shin? Uh, my additional question to that is, we mainly saw from like videos and promotional stuff that Susie was producing on the album, so I really want to know what like the work split was.
For autumn.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So autumn. So we did summer. Summer wrapped. And then yeah, like I know that um I think that he Rivers had started working on autumn kind of while we were still in like sort of like the finishing stages of things, like the mix phase of stuff. Um, so so yeah, they were they were working on autumn, and he was like, hey man, like would you want to come in and like do some stuff on this? I think I think they were kind of I think Rivers was kind of going back and forth on like how it should feel, where things were standing. And we had a great working relationship on Summer, become buddies, trusted each other. So he asked me to come in and just, listen to the songs, kind of like give my 2 cents of where I thought they were at, and maybe even hop on some stuff where it needed to be hopped in on. So yeah, so basically I came in and sort of took, I'd say I took like probably six, maybe five or six of the songs, and took some things that Tyler, so Tyler had started working on some stuff. So I took some stuff from Tyler that he had done and kind of built up some things, that Rivers was hearing, that I was kind of hearing, that we kind of agreed upon, for the dance rock vibe. So then it was sort of just like having some stuff to play with, but then building in a similar way to how Summer was built. But just with some of Tyler's stuff and some stuff that Rivers had done, and kind of putting it together and building it, and everyone feeling good about it. And then like before getting the guys on it, and sort of making it all work from there. And then Susie, Susie really did a lot of. I was actually away for the sort of like finishing part of like some ending things, some group vocal things. I was traveling, so I wasn't able to get there to do some of that stuff. But yeah, Susie, like did a lot of the vocal stuff, did a lot of additional stuff, like really kind of helped finish stuff. But I was definitely there to give the songs and give the production, or put it into the place where Rivers and the team and the band were like, ah, yeah, all right, here we go. Like now we can jump off from here, and this feels good. So yeah, it was a collab effort for sure. I think yeah, it was awesome just to have to work on it and to get back up with the guys and be able to sort of use what we did in summer and build stuff that way to realize the songs and realize the productions and then kind of go from there. So
I think there's one question in particular that I like to ask just about everybody who's worked with Weezer, and I've
awesome.
always found amusing results. Is what's one funny story or thing that happened while working with Rivers or the other band members?
So funny thing. Well, let me think. So but this is funny, but I don't know if like Rivers realized it, but I kind of did, and it was such a it was just, it was such a weird thing to have happen. But like the first day he was coming over to the house um, to work on stuff. I think he was coming over to like do some stuff on records. Um, and like I'm like a huge fan. I'd never met him before, and never really like we conversed over like email and I don't even know if we had spoken on the phone yet. But so I was just I was like a little kid. I was a little nervous. I was like excited. It was like all these emotions because it's like he's Rivers, so and I have such a connection to to so many Weezer albums and just to the band as a whole. So it was like I was super pumped. And so he gets to the house and we have like a baby boy who just turned 1. And so he like met him, met my wife. It was awesome. We walked, we walked down to the studio. We get into the studio and I like my computer wasn't on. I was like, oh, I'll just turn my computer on. So I open my computer up and I go to turn it on. And it's just black. Like the screen is just like black. And I'm like, this is weird. Like, okay. So I'm just like small talking with him, like making a coffee, just trying to like, you know, not freak out. My computer's like, and it's not an old computer. It's like a semi recently like purchased computer. So it's like, what's going on here? Like, what is like, are the tech gods like just trying to like mess with me today? Like, what's going on? So I like, you know, unplug everything and plug it by like a hard restart or reset, whatever. Go to turn it on, black screen. And like at this point, it's just like, what is going on right now? And I think River sort of felt my not anxiety, but I was just like, okay, like he came here to work and like we're gonna work and like my computer's not gonna work. So like the third time, like did that again and like I see the little white apple pop up and the little bar starts the computer and I was just like because it's like what like you have like an artist in the studio, everything's ready to go, like you're there to work and he's very like um I feel like when I'm working on something I'm definitely like punctual and I'm like attentive and I have like a direction and I have I'm very organized and Rivers is like that too, maybe to a even higher level than I am. So I know he was there to like do stuff and get stuff done and like work. So I was just like praying my computer would work. And then yeah, eventually it turned on and it was cool. We rocked. But I was just like, that would have been not great if my computer was like he like came to the house and was like, all right, so now what? So that was sort of amusing and sort of terrifying, but it all worked out. It was all
You should have
good.
just been like, no, okay, computer's not working today. We can go home. It's just,
I know, right? Yeah, and he would have been like, well, all right. And that would have not that would have not been a great first first hang, but no, it was all good. It worked out. So
I remember when he began working on Summer, he has a Discord server, and he's sort of been giving us instant updates about the process of seasons. And I remember when you guys first started working together, he would, in the afternoon, he'd always post just finished working at Dano's house and had a great time. And he would always talk about,
I had no idea any of that was going on. That's
he
amazing.
would always talk about things he was excited about. And he'd tell us about songs that we had never even heard of at the time.
That's super cool. I wish I had known about that. That's sick. Yeah, he and I like became super tight. Like we're both Italian. This is like sort of an offshoot, but like and we both are into soccer. Like clearly his I mean, I from reading like his biography and the backstory of his dad and how like into Italian soccer his dad was and stuff, and the fact that yeah, it's I think Rivers' name, his first name is from Gigi Riva, who's like this like famous Italian soccer player. Like he named him after him. So, um, but we like yeah we I don't know if he put this up on Discord. I don't know if he even ever like said anything about this, but we would have like these great chats about like Italy and about like making music there and like the culture and like and for me like Rome is like one of my most favorite cities in the world. Like my heritage comes from like a little like some of my family comes from that area of Italy, and he also was like a Rome fanatic and an Italy fanatic. So we like we would just have these amazing conversations about Italy and about like everything and both had like the same passion for it, which was pretty sick. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that was ever thrown up on Discord, but like that's just a little like little nugget of like of stuff we would hang out and like talk about and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, you worked on a lot of these songs, it seems. Like, you did you write most of the bass lines and most of like the drum tracks?
Yeah, so yeah, for you know, except for like probably two songs, maybe two, maybe yeah, I think like two songs on Autumn. Yeah, for Summer and Autumn, yeah, it was basically like just just did my thing on them and what I heard and what I felt. And of course, like Rivers would come over and we change some things, massage some things. We if I did something um, that I was hearing and he was like, well, I was kind of hearing this, we'd like work together to kind of find that like that happy medium. But yeah, I mostly, you know, I don't even think about like the quote unquote writing parts because I feel like when you're producing and when I produce for like other artists and stuff, it's like I'm just kind of making stuff. And I guess yeah, you're writing it for sure, but it's also just like what feels natural. And for a lot of the songs on Autumn and then all of them for Summer, yeah, it was just like what felt right. And then also what Rivers was feeling too and what he was into. And um so yeah, and I take a lot of pride in it. Like it's I feel like I've been making music for a while and I've been lucky enough to have had some success. But this was like these two EPs were definitely like some of the most soul pleasing and just like super proud of, to be a part of um like records and like albums or whatever you want to yeah like the body of work. I'm like super like I go back and listen to it all the time and I'm like this is I just fan out over it. And I don't know if I do that. I've done that for like some of the music that's come out that I've made, but like this was just like, yeah, it was just like so fun and like kind of threw me back to being a kid and like got me just like pumped. Um, and yeah, and then I kind of took pride in like, yeah, like making these cool parts that the band like loved. Like I don't, like I remember when we finished Summer, Scott was like, dude, this is like I haven't been this jacked on a Weezer album in like I don't know, like he was just so excited, and the Rivers was like, dude, yeah, like they were all just so pumped on it. So it was like, yeah, it was like it felt good, you know. It felt like, yeah, whatever I built, like they dug and then they took it to another level. So like that's like the beauty of collaboration, I feel like.
So another question I have is just like, so seasons as a project. You've now been involved in two of the four things.
Right.
How do you feel like it is as a project? Like, how do you feel it represents the seasons, the emotions that it's trying to convey? Because Rivers
I
has
mean,
been very, very vocal about that.
I think it's exactly what he wanted. I think, you know, and I remember when my manager was like, oh, like, because like they want like they're doing like a summer EP. I'm like, what? They just did like a spring one. Like, why? Like, and I didn't know that it was this like 4 part based around Vivaldi's four seasons, and has like each thing lives in its own world, you know, where like I was like, wow, I've never heard of anyone. I've never like I don't know of any other artist that's done that. But Rivers is a visionary, so it sort of makes sense. But yeah, I was but yeah, but it when he sat down and explained it to me, and we were chatting about it, and it was everything he wanted it to be. And I'm so happy that I was able to sort of tap into what he was wanting and what he was thinking, but also kind of going off my gut of what I thought felt right, and what I thought, you know, the fans would dig, and that stuff. So it was cool to be a part of that and make it work. And it was like it was a lot of work, but it didn't feel like it because it just felt like fun. It almost felt like, yeah. Having said this before, like I had never done like a full album, so it was like a lot of fun to just like dig in and like do stuff, get his get him in here too, and like kind of go back and forth and trust each other, and kind of like it almost felt. I mean, I wasn't in the band clearly, but it just felt like I was like another like a sort of a component of the band, and that was just like
You
super
were a
fun.
Weezer.
What's that?
You were a Weezer. I mean,
I
it
was a
sounds like
Weezer.
you had a big impact on the album. And so
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
my
yeah. I think I
last question, I'm
did.
not sure about if Drewski has any other questions. Just specifically, how do you feel about these albums? How do you think they're going to age? Like, how do you see uh, Weezer fans, general fans of rock music, going to look back on summer, going to look back on autumn in 5, 10 years from now?
That's a good question. Um, yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think what he did in like not it's not trilogy. What's like what's for
Quadrilogy, I guess.
quadrilogy? Is there a word? I don't know if there is, but quadrilogy, whatever. Like no one.
Anthology.
You're right, exactly, yeah. No one's sort of done or even thought about doing something like that. And given the fact that like, you know, Rivers is like a really great classical pianist and like really digs classical music. So, and I think I on some level, I think the Italian connection as well. It's like he chose to do this, and it's such a cool thing to do. And so I think like sure, there's like everyone has their opinions on what they think is good or what they think is not good or whatever. But I think this will like we'll look back on this and be like, wow, that was like a truly visionary thing that no one else tried to do. And Rivers had this like super focused, super um musical, super, yeah, it's like it had all these great parts and intangibles and things that made each of them amazing. And I think that's kind of a groundbreaking thing, you know. And I think maybe when you make it at first you're like, oh, like, you know, like let's I think fans digest it in like in little bites and the way they digest it. But I think like in 5 or 10 years, we'll look back and be like, that was really cool. And I think a lot of the songs that embodied each season will sort of like get better with age potentially, you know, sort of like wine or something. I don't know. I feel like it's, and also it's like it is a lot of music to give people, but we live in an age where content is king. So I think as the songs live like in the future, I think we'll look back on it and yeah, I think they'll sort of get better, even better than they are now as they age. So sort of long winded, but
Yeah, I agree.
cool.
Anything
Thank
else?
you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is cool.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if you ever wind up doing anything else with Weezer. It seems like your work was very appreciated.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I feel like what sometimes when you jump in with an artist, it takes a second to get the trust or get, you know, build friendships and stuff. But I feel like it was easy to do with these guys, and I think if the music kind of like feels good, it's probably because like we had like a good relationship, a good working relationship, and I was able to tap into what everyone was hoping it would be or what it would become, and that was great. So yeah, hopefully we'll do some more stuff together in the future. Maybe another anthology.
Yeah,
It's gonna be like an unending Weezer EP, just
Right. The EPs just keep
seasons
coming.
two.
Right. Yeah. Because you could just go. Yeah. You could just sequel it up and
Yeah.
I
uh,
know. In 2023, they're planning an album that I believe is a collaboration with Tyler Cole, and then after that, they're doing another self-titled album that's supposed to be in the style of sort of Blue Album or White Album.
well,
I know. He had a poll on the Discord that was like, "What should the color be?" Right?
Yeah, it's kind of between pink and yellow seems to be the most popular.
maybe like fuchsia.
So this is the answer to the final question. You think that the next Weezer album should be the Fuchsia album?
Yeah,
Fuchsia seems like it's sort of like in between those two colors, right? Maybe not. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, no, yeah, maybe in maybe on maybe I'll be back for that one. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. Well, I think that's just about it.
Awesome,
Um,
man. Well, yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun. I feel like I yeah enjoyed kind of reliving some stuff and yeah just chatting about the process and about yeah about everything. It was cool.
it's really cool to hear sort of another perspective on making this out, these EPs.
Yeah,
Especially because I feel like we're getting very much the singular perspective of Rivers on these things. Like it was nice hearing you comment about Scott and about what Pat had to say about it, because I feel like a lot of us uh, interested in these things were very like key focused in on the Discord, seeing what he's saying, looking at the spreadsheets that he's making. But
right.
there's clearly other aspects to music, other humans involved with it. So it's nice to find out
Yeah,
that, ironically, Robopop, that uh, it's nice to hear something humanistic about it.
yeah. No, it is though. I mean, I don't know. He is very like analytical and very like a certain way, but but like he has his other side too, and the guys in the band as well. Like I think I think he like I forget like it was an email or a text, and he was like, "Dude, like I was like, man, this was so great." Like at the end of the summer, at the end of summer, I was like, I was like, I just want to thank you for like the opportunity to like, be a part of this. And it was like it was like so soul pleasing and it was so fun. And he's like, man, like this is a masterpiece. This is like exactly what I wanted, like what I was hearing. Like you killed like some I forget like what the exact words were, but I was like, wow, like that really like meant a lot, because like he is very analytical and very like focused, but there's also this other side that like, yeah, like, you know, I feel like yeah, like those like good vibes, those good feelings. Like I think we were able to encapsulate that, and the band felt that too, and I felt it. So I think it was like a collective. So it was cool. Which yeah, hopefully leads to us doing some more stuff in the future. So we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks guys. It was great.
No problem. All right.
So this is gonna be so you're cutting it up, editing it, and putting it on YouTube.
Something like
Yeah.
that, and then it'll probably be shared around on the Weezer Discord and stuff like that. It'll get views. We
Awesome.
promise. We swear.
That's sick. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for hitting me up about it.
Yeah, of course.
I'm
Cool.
gonna get going.
Same here. I'll see y'all soon.
Bye.